Welcome to Addictive Films. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Today, we're diving into a gripping 2008 Korean thriller, The Chaser, based on the real-life serial killer story. Let's get started. The story begins in a bustling city, with life teeming in the streets. Among the crowd, a young woman, clearly nervous, waits for someone. Her fidgeting and glances at her phone hint at unease. Soon, a man arrives, and they drive together to his house. The car's route through shadowy, narrow streets sets a foreboding tone. The scene subtly shifts to morning, revealing her car abandoned in a dark alley, unmoving. This catches the attention of a patrolling police car. The officers approach a man nearby under an umbrella and ask if it's his vehicle. The man, nicknamed Mr. Pimp, a former detective, denies knowing the car and mumbles angrily about finding the missing girl. His frustration stems from mounting issues. Two of his prostitutes have mysteriously vanished, leaving him short on cash. With creditors breathing down his neck, his desperation intensifies. The story transitions to his office, a cluttered and dingy space that reflects his deteriorating life. Mr. Pimp's assistant interrupts him, informing him of another client request. Out of options, he forces a sick prostitute named Beauty to take the job. Their exchange is tense. Beauty protests weakly, citing her poor health, but Mr. Pimp's stern, almost pleading tone reveals his own desperation. Though reluctant, Beauty agrees, driven by her dire financial situation and her young daughter's welfare. The way she glances at a crumpled photo of her child before leaving adds an emotional layer to her decision. As Beauty prepares to meet her client, Mr. Pimp studies his call records. He discovers that the new client is the same man who booked his two missing girls. Alarm bells ring in his head. Alarmed, he contacts Beauty, instructing her to text him the client's address as soon as possible. Simultaneously, Mr. Pimp reaches out to an old colleague, Police Fluffy, for help. However, Fluffy is preoccupied with securing the mayor, who has just been attacked with a smelly substance during a protest. Meanwhile, Beauty meets her client, Mr. Creepy, a man whose polite exterior barely conceals his sinister intent. They drive to his house, the atmosphere thick with unease. Suspense builds as she notices odd details. A freshly filled hole in the garden, the absence of any personal touches in the house, and the unnerving silence. Beauty excuses herself to the bathroom, planning to send Mr. Pimp the address. To her dismay, there is no cell service, and the bathroom window reveals only a brick wall outside. While there, she discovers strands of bloody hair in the bathtub, heightening her dread. The film lingers on her expression, a mix of fear and determination as she tries to think of an escape plan. She attempts to leave under the guise of retrieving something from her car, but Mr. Creepy has already locked the gate, sealing her fate. Back in the house, Beauty is tied up in the bathroom. Mr. Creepy reveals his true nature, admitting to killing the other prostitutes and wielding a hammer ominously. He taunts her, asking cruel questions about why she deserves to live, savoring her terror. The camera captures every nuance of his performance, from his chilling smirk to the way he tilts his head inquisitively. Just as he prepares to torture her, they are interrupted by an elderly couple looking for their missing neighbor, the true homeowner. Mr. Creepy, feigning hospitality, invites them inside. The conversation drips with tension as the couple hesitates, noticing something off about the situation. Mr. Creepy swiftly kills them to eliminate witnesses. The narrative seamlessly shifts to Mr. Pimp, now anxiously driving around to track Beauty. Fate intervenes as he accidentally collides with Mr. Creepy's car while it's parked nearby. The clash is brief but impactful, the sound of the crash punctuating the growing suspense. Stepping out to address the accident, Mr. Pimp notices bloodstains on Mr. Creepy's shirt and connects the dots. To confirm his suspicion, he dials the client's number. When Mr. Creepy's phone rings, he panics and flees, prompting a chase through the streets. The chase is chaotic, with Mr. Creepy desperately weaving through alleyways and Mr. Pimp relentlessly pursuing him, creating a frenzied scene that culminates in Mr. Pimp tackling him to the ground. Both men grapple violently, their breaths labored and punches wild, until the police arrive to break it up, arresting them both. At the station, Mr. Creepy initially denies everything. However, his nonchalant demeanor changes when he suddenly confesses to killing 9 people. Shocked, the police interrogate him further. He describes his brutal methods, using a hammer to chisel victims' heads, hanging their bodies like butchered animals, and disposing of the remains. The cold, detached manner in which he recounts his crimes unnerves everyone present. Despite this chilling confession, the police lack physical evidence to build a case. Mr. Creepy's arrest history further complicates matters. He had been released before due to insufficient proof. The pacing intensifies as Mr. Pimp searches Beauty's apartment, finding her frightened young daughter. The scene is heartbreaking as the little girl clings to her doll, unaware of her mother's fate. Taking her under his care, Mr. Pimp continues his investigation, following leads that reveal Mr. Creepy's history of violence, including a disturbing incident where he injured his nephew with a chisel. Mr. Pimp's assistant discovers a hideout belonging to Mr. Creepy, adorned with religiously inspired but grotesque drawings. The images are haunting, filled with violent depictions of torment and death. Still, they find no concrete evidence linking him to the murders. The police's timeline to detain Mr. Creepy is running out. Mr. Pimp takes matters into his own hands, confronting Mr. Creepy in custody and violently demanding answers. Their exchange is electric, with Mr. Pimp's rage clashing against Mr. Creepy's eerie calm. The police turn a blind eye, desperate for any lead. Under pressure, Mr. Creepy provides an address. However, the site reveals nothing, leaving the police empty-handed. Adding insult to injury, the prosecutor orders Mr. Creepy's release and demands Mr. Pimp's arrest for assault. Meanwhile, Beauty, still alive but gravely injured, manages to escape Mr. Creepy's house and stumbles into a corner store. She calls Mr. Pimp, but he doesn't answer, preoccupied with evading the police. The suspense in the store is palpable as Beauty tries to stay hidden, her breathing shallow and her movements deliberate. Tragically, Mr. Creepy arrives at the store shortly after. The store owner, unaware of his identity, gives him a hammer to protect them. The tension explodes as he kills both Beauty and the owner. This sequence is harrowing, with Beauty's desperate attempt to survive ending in crushing finality. Mr. Creepy's ruthlessness is fully unveiled, leaving no hope for her survival. When Mr. Pimp arrives at the crime scene later, he is devastated to find Beauty's lifeless body. Her daughter's future and the weight of his failures consume him, pushing him into a spiral of rage and determination. The emotional toll is palpable as Mr. Pimp channels his grief into relentless pursuit. His resolve hardens, and he swears to end Mr. Creepy's reign of terror. Determined to seek justice, Mr. Pimp recalls the religious imagery in Mr. Creepy's hideout and connects it to a local church. Visiting the church, he learns that Mr. Creepy once worked as an assistant to a wealthy man who funded the church's renovations. The man owned the house Mr. Creepy now occupies. Realizing this connection, Mr. Pimp heads to the house armed with newfound determination. Inside, he confronts Mr. Creepy, and a brutal fight ensues. Both men sustain severe injuries, but Mr. Pimp gains the upper hand, bludgeoning Mr. Creepy with a hammer. The fight is raw, visceral, and laden with emotional undertones. Just as he's about to deliver a final blow, the police arrive and intervene. The moment is tense, as Mr. Pimp struggles with the moral and legal boundaries of justice. The police restrain him, ensuring Mr. Creepy faces legal consequences rather than street justice. The police discover the gruesome remains of Mr. Creepy's victims buried in the yard, finally corroborating his confession. The visual of the bodies being unearthed is chilling, emphasizing the sheer scope of his crimes. Justice, though delayed, begins to take shape as Mr. Creepy is formally charged. The haunting discovery cements the horror of his actions, leaving an indelible mark on everyone involved. The movie concludes with Mr. Pimp, bloodied but resolute, visiting Beauty's daughter in the hospital. Sitting beside her, he reflects on the cost of his choices and the redemption he seeks through protecting the innocent. He quietly vows to provide her with the life her mother couldn't. The closing scenes linger on his somber expression, a man torn by guilt, yet driven by a newfound sense of purpose. His journey is one of pain, but it's also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. This haunting story leaves us questioning the fragility of justice and the depths of human depravity. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more gripping stories. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.